Hey, let's get into the first proper episode of the Pedalboard building series. How do we pick the pedals we want to put on our board? Which ones do we really want? Which ones do we really need? Well, in this episode, we will find out. My name's Will, this is A Rocket Complex. A Rocket Complex is a band and we have a brand new single out. It's called Freshen Up. You can check it out in the iCard up there, or a link to it will be in the description. In fact, all the music that you hear in this series will be music from, well, A Rocket Complex. This pedalboard building series was helped out a little bit by Schmidt Array. You can check out Schmidt Array pedalboards at their website, linked in the description. All right, let's get into it. Before we get around to picking what pedals go on our pedalboard, we're going to need to understand, well, who we are and what our needs are. Every pedalboard is individual to the player. I know we always want to say, I want as many toys as possible to play with, but that might not always work. So first, I think it's probably a good idea to come up with some context. What are our needs? What are we playing into? And what are we playing with? If you're playing with a jangly single coil guitar, you're gonna wanna make different overdrive choices versus something like humbuckers and P90s that's really gonna drive your pedals or is gonna drive the front end of your amp. Speaking of amps, we need to think about what we're playing into. What amp do you have? Sometimes you need to pick your pedals to suit what amp you're playing into. There is a great piece by That Pedal Show on Guitarist's YouTube channel that I'll link to in the description that'll help you understand how different pedals suit different amps. So let's also think about the context of who we are. Are you a studio guy who needs a couple different sounds that you can take on a session? Are you a bedroom player who just wants to have all of your collection of pedals on a board in front of you? Or are you a minimalist gigger who wants to take as little as possible to the gig but still get as much sound out of it as you can? Well, I know that I am definitely in the latter of that category, so obviously I have picked a very small pedal board. I have picked a Schmidt Array 250 pedal board to do all of this stuff on because, well, I don't really use a lot of pedals. I love the ones I have, and I use those ones tons, but I'm not the kind of guy to ship around a pedal board that's bigger than his guitar case. I'm just not. There's also the fact that the amp I'm playing into, the Victory Countess Mark II, gets most of my gain. So I don't need to really worry about a lot of the big sort of distortion boxes. I'm really going for more shaper kind of overdrives. Also on that fact is I mostly play a Telecaster with single coil pickups, but I also have a single humbucker guitar as well. Ultimately, my rule of thumb when it comes to pedals being put on a pedal board is this. If they don't make you smile and if you can't praise them to other people, they should not be on your pedal board. Now that doesn't mean that cheaper pedals can't be fun as well, and that you have to focus entirely on those really, really expensive pedals. There are some great pedals out there that really make me smile, and if I didn't have some of those other choices, I would still put them on my pedal board, because ultimately, it makes me want to play guitar. Another thing to keep in mind when you're picking out your pedals for your pedal board is, yeah, they should inspire you, but they shouldn't be the thing that's the end-all and be-all. Remember, when you're playing, your audience doesn't really care how you get your sound. They just care it sounds nice. Try not to be so obsessed with your picks. I know that I have been over the past year of working on this series. I've stayed up way too late looking at pedal videos online. Just remember that this is about helping you play your best. It's not about having the best looking board versus anyone else. Remember, it's your board. It's no one else's. So what choices did I make? Well, first off, I picked a loop switcher. I'm gonna need this because live I sing and play guitar at the same time. I don't really get a lot of brain power to tap dance all over my pedal board. Also gonna need lots of things to happen all at the same time. So I'm gonna need a loop switcher that has MIDI function to be able to turn some things off and on that we'll get into in a minute. Also turning off several loops and controlling my amp at the same time. So the loop switcher I went for was the DPC Gen 3 by Disaster Area Designs. Next, obviously, we're going to need a tuner, so I picked a very small tuner to fit on my very small board. I picked a Polytune Mini 3 for this pedal board. Not really much to say about it. I don't really use the multi-mode on it, but I do use the single string and it works just fine for me. It's also got a buffer built in, so if you need that kind of thing for your pedal board, I'd consider it. When I play clean in a Rocket Complex, I play a lot of kind of funky sort of licks. So what I like to have is a compressor. I've picked the Because mini compressor, couple reasons. One, you get a blend, which I think is really important for compressor pedals to have. Second, this is so hard to find on a lot of compressor pedals, you get a full meter, where you can see how much gain reduction you have going on when you are engaging that compressor. I even have a compression video here on the channel with the Origin Effects Cali 76, but I picked this one over that one because of that full meter. I like being able to see what I'm actually doing because compressors can really fool your ears sometimes. All right, let's get into our drive pedals on this board. I'm using a couple stacking into the Countess's gain, and I'm using both channels on the Countess for different sounds. So I like to have kind of a full range kind of pedal for this, and this one's really, really cool, and I can't wait to tell you about this more in depth because I'm actually going to be doing a separate series about it. I'm building my own overdrive pedal, and it's something that's unique and different from a lot of other takes out there. I know that's really, you're like, yeah, sure, whatever, because there's hundreds of different types of overdrives, but I haven't seen one out there on the market like this. So I'll tell you more about it when I get through more development on, well, the short stack is what it's called. For now, I have part of the pedal prototyped in a box, and that will be going on this pedal board until later I get the full production one sorted. Next, I'm looking for a kind of an uncompressed mid-hump sort of overdrive to help me out in solos. I've tried loads of different pedals for this one, and I've been really chasing around and trying to find the pedal that would make my overdrive sound still be kind of the same guitar sound, but just louder and a little bit more mid-pushed. So for this, I picked the Ryra clone. I know it's a bit cliche because everyone has a clone, but I really like this one. I think it's a really cool case. I really love the artwork on it, and it sounds fantastic stacked into the overdrive channel on my amp. So next up is my luxury kind of pedal on the pedal board. And luxury isn't to mean expensive. Luxury is to mean it's something that I could live without at a push, but I really love having it there. I'm not super big into modulation, and when I am, I like it to be quite subtle. A lot of modulation is really in your face, but I found that playing a univibe is just, it covers the basis of like phaser and tremolo and rotary all kind of built into one. So on this board, I'll be using the Drybell Vibe Machine. Univibe is unlike any other modulation, and if I was gonna have one luxury pedal on the board, it would be this. Finally, part of the Rocket Complex guitar sound at least is big ambience. I love ambience when it comes to guitar. It just sort of fills out the sound quite a lot. I'm also one of those guys that doesn't have like 85,000 different delay patches. I just love analog delay and tape delay. I'm a simple guy when it comes to that. So I picked up the Strymon Volante. This is a recent purchase for me, and I absolutely adore how in-depth you can get about the tape sound. Versus a lot of other MIDI pedals, you don't get the level of like detail into how it was to have like an Echo Rec or a Space Echo. I found that I really like having dark ambience when it comes to playing guitar, so you can let the guitar stand out and let all of that ambience just kind of be a wash underneath. So for me, it's really important to have the EQ controls here, which I use with the high end pretty much rolled off as much as I can get. And then the low roll off, I kind of just leave all of that low end there, so that you get this big sort of pad underneath. All right, those are the pedals that I picked for my board. What did you pick for yours? With all our pedals picked out, we now need to think about how we're gonna connect them all. But we'll get into that next time. So hey, thank you so much for watching this video. If you like this video, a positive rating would really be appreciated. You have no idea how much that helps out the channel. If you want to catch all the other episodes in this series, you can click the link in the description or up in the iCard right now. If you're watching this day of release and want to see the next episodes when they come out, hey, why not subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon? Then you'll get an email notification letting you know when the next episode uploads. You can check out a Rocket Complex's music on Spotify right now. It'll be the first link in the description. Thanks again to Schmidt Array for helping us out with this series. You can check out their pedal boards on their website, also linked in the description. All right, guys, thanks for watching this video, and I'll catch you in the next one. See ya.